G'day YouTube, welcome to a second podcast in an ongoing series on my channel. Today's special guest is legendary voice actor Matt Hill. I'm really glad I got an opportunity to interview him about his evolving career over the last 40 to 50 years in voice acting, and it's been a pleasure listening to his advice. Did you know he's done over 150 voice acting gigs in his entire career, and he's still going? I think that's pretty insane to me, and there's no sign of stopping with him. I hope you enjoy the interview and I hope you get some fantastic advice. Please stay tuned till the end as I've got a few updates for you. Enjoy. All right, all good.
Beauty.
Matt Hill, thank you so much for joining me today on my second episode of my normal podcast. I still don't have a name to it, but thank you so much.
You know what? We'll just call it Tarkan's podcast. You know, like you just be like, it's just keep it like simple, man. You,
True.
my podcast.
I don't want to. It's a good placeholder. I just don't want to call it that because like everyone gets my name wrong.
Oh, did I just completely shit the bed on getting your name?
No,
Did I?
it was close. It was closer than most people get because it's like
Is it
Tarkan.
Tarkan
No, it's
or
Tarkan.
Tarkan?
Yeah, I
Tarkan.
love how
Okay.
Americans
Oh,
say it. Sorry,
yeah.
Canadians. Whoops, sorry.
Tarkan. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, you know what? Whatever you end up naming it is awesome. And even if you never name it, that's okay too, because it's your podcast. So, that's where it's
Okay,
at. Absolutely, man. But yeah, man, good to be here with you, brother. And
thank you.
yeah, ask away, man.
Um,
Absolutely.
I think the best thing to start off with is like a small joke. Um, but you've been in the industry for over 40 years at this point in the voice acting. What's your secret? What's your secret?
Man, God, you know what? Just stay in it. Like I'd say that's probably the most best honest way of saying, because even like then there'll be moments where it's so busy that like you think like, oh my God, like you're barely keeping up with bookings and scheduling everything and getting to the next thing. And then I'll go through period then when it's just completely like crickets and you
Yeah.
think like, man, maybe it's all over, and then just as the time you think it's all over, it starts up again. So I'd say that to anybody, just like manage the pause. Not the pause like pause, but like pause.
Yeah.
Manage the pauses very well because they will happen. And and like make hay when the sun shines, right? Like have fun and use your voice and know that you're lighting it up in the world.
That's interesting because I'd assume that voice acting is like you're always wanted, like in the sense of like there's always a role for you to do,
Yeah.
there's always a need for someone. So the fact that there's pauses that exist is kind of surprises me. But I'm not in that
Oh,
industry,
yeah.
so
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like anything, right? It's like, because it's like that's why I say it's so funny because that's the hilarious kind of truth for actors is or self-employed people like book a trip and you'll probably book a job, right? Because like, I've often done that where I'm like, no, no, I can't book anything to go away anywhere. And then finally I go, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go, like I'm gonna go do a triathlon, but somewhere else. And then I get a gig and you have to move it or you have to not do it or you get like you get a gig or then you get another gig, then you get another gig, but they're all recording on the one day of the week that they all want that one day. And so like you can only sometimes say, yes to one of them or, that's always just like you're thinking like, come on, there's 7 other days that we could record. Like, why does everybody pick Monday? Why does everybody pick Wednesday? But
yeah,
such is life, man.
true.
Beautiful merry-go-round. Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
well, we'll move on then because I'm curious. I already know the answer. Obviously, we spoke it beforehand, but I think for the audience, you've discussed in previous podcasts that you did your most famous acting role at 13, deceiving your parents, being sick to go to your agency. But you've never really explained to anyone, or that I'm aware of, why you got into voice acting in the first place. Who inspired you? What inspired you? for that
Oh,
specific thing?
yeah. Well, it's funny. It was more specifically acting itself. I just wanted to be an actor. I didn't care where it was. I didn't care if it was, voice or on screen or on the stage or, like we had monkey hour at our, cul-de-sac, in the place where I grew up and being a kid. Like I just wanted to perform, and be out there. And so when I say I made that decision at 13, I'd been wanting that my whole life, right? And so at 13, it just seemed like, oh my God, like this has to happen. And thank God, Vancouver was beginning, to get quite popular with filming and with recording and stuff. And I heard a classic radio commercial, and they're like, Jerry Lodge Talent Agency is looking for new and up and coming actors in the growing Vancouver film and television scene. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like perfect for me. And so I connected with them, and got that proverbial Thursday morning interview, 11 a.m. I'll never forget that Thursday, and like that, I shared with you before that, I gave
Yeah.
my best performance, sucking my parents into sorry, telling my parents that I was too sick to go to school. And then literally as second I could see their taillights in the rearview mirror, I had like jumped out the window and, ran for the bus, got on, and then, made it with seconds to spare. And because I just knew that was the day it had to happen. And thank God, because Dorothy Boyce, who was the owner of the agency at the time, like she said, she's like, wait, she's like, am I gonna, like try to believe that you have no experience, right? I'm like, nope, nope, I have no experience. I mean, obviously, yeah, I'd been in like bands and singing and stuff like that, so I was used to performing, but not professionally, right?
Of
And
course.
she's like, I remember her like going like, either I'm delusional or I'm gonna trust my gut because I got a feeling about you, kid. And thank God she took a chance on me. And the one thing she did though is said, I have to take a course so that I get better. And so that I didn't let her down, taking a chance on me. And so I took a 13-week, learning for film and TV acting course. And thank God, because I sucked so bad. It was horrible. I was horrible. And but luckily somebody thought, okay, I'd make a great elf. And so thankfully it was like right around Christmas time when that course finished. And because the course started in October, and I think it finished in like the beginning of November. I think it was like a 5-week course. And then I auditioned for to be Santa's lead elf at the Christmas
Yes.
display downtown, right?
Yeah.
And I was like telling you, yeah, yeah, yeah. So thank God, because I got the part, and and so for those 3 weeks of or 2 weeks of Christmas, I'm like meeting people, I'm shaking hands, I'm saying, hey kids, like without even knowing it, doing like an elf. And so I was like, hey, Merry Christmas from Santa, and God bless us everyone, and and come on back tomorrow because Santa will be back at 10 to 5 or whatever. And it just like I was in my element, and um and I made more money in that. Like I did paper routes my whole life. But I made more money in that 3 weeks of Christmas than I'd ever made in my entire life. And what I was so proud of, I got to pay Dorothy back for fronting me the
That's
money
lovely. Yeah.
for taking the course, right? Because I didn't have $500 in 1983 dollars, right?
Yeah.
That was like $1,000 in this, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. No, of course.
but I'm so grateful because like I said, it's amazing. People take a chance on us because they see us doing something and or wanting something. And I always really, really because I swear to God, she changed my life. I don't know what would have happened. I mean, would have I got an agent? I probably would have, but I have no idea. Maybe I would have got disillusioned. Maybe I would have, who knows, right?
No, of
But
course.
thank God. So yeah. So thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, thank you, thank you up in heaven. Thank you.
It's always lovely to hear the story from you, even though I've heard it quite a few times at this point. It's very refreshing, um,
Yeah.
and it's quite fascinating as well. Like you just put yourself out there and you got that opportunity given to you, and it like someone gave that to you. It's like
Yeah.
here's your
Yeah.
chance,
Well, it's
and
funny.
look where you've gone
Well,
so far in life
well,
now.
it's funny, Tarkan, Tarkan, right?
It doesn't matter. You don't have to say it right. I don't care.
See, where I really feel the value of that is because we all have to start somewhere, right? And so that's where I feel like for me, that's the most honest way to say that's where I got my beginnings, right? And oh my God, we could do another podcast with all the face plants that I've done in my life, trying to get to the next dream or trying to get up the next proverbial hill, of a, even if it's a real time hill if I'm running, or the dreams of my life. Um, it's really wild because I've never forgot that, right? So I go, like, even sometimes, I mean, there's been times I never thought I would quit, but there was definitely times where I thought, "Yeah, okay, I'm being tested here. Why is it so slow?" And when you sometimes can't come up with the answer, that's when you just have to re-inspire yourself and go, okay, you know what? Do something different for a bit, and it always comes around, or you find something else that you find even more interesting, right? And so yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know, for the kids at home, that it's like that. It's like all our dreams matter, and I think that's where we all have a beginning. And that's what I love talking to people about is like, what was your beginning, right? It's like, who took a chance on you,
Yeah.
right? On little Tarkan, when when he was like first, you know what I mean, like coming
Yeah.
down
No, of course.
like down the dream scope here. It's like we all had that light bulb moment where we're like, oh, I think I'd like to do this, or I'd like to try that, or and then there's other people who it takes for a long time before they sort of find their thing, but it's no different, right? They're still
Mm,
dreams, they're still being realized, right? That's I just got lucky because mine started because I knew that's what I wanted to do, you know,
that's fair.
um, and because it's funny, I don't know what it would be like if I started like right now, it's say like 50 plus. If I was like, yeah, you know what, I think I'm gonna be an actor now. I mean, I have no idea. Maybe I would have a Dorothy that would say like, yeah, you have no experience, but your enthusiasm's off the charts, so okay, right? I mean, who knows, right? It's I'm glad I don't have to ask or find that out. But at the same time, right? It's yeah, it's our I think all of our ways to just keep inspiring ourselves,
No, of
right?
course.
You know?
Well, with that being said, if you could give yourself one piece of advice at any point of your career, right now, go back in time at any
Yeah.
point, what would that be? Um, when would it be, and what would it be?
Advice that I give myself? Oh man. Well,
These
you know what?
tough
I
questions.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's all in that same vein, to be honest with you. If I could have talked to myself, sort of like, young Matt, let's say,
Yeah.
the enthusiasm was going to take me far. The enthusiasm would also lead to being, I, I think I'm a pretty good actor. I think I do justice to the roles I think I'm given. And I think in many ways, you don't always have to knock it out of the park all the time, but all you can do is try your best all the time, right? So you do end up eventually probably knocking it out of the park a lot more than you think you do, right? And so I think maybe, I don't know, the advice I would give myself is, probably I would say to myself, the road's going to be long because I wanted to do this for my whole life, right? And so it's easy when you have lots of roles coming in because, like I said, it's so busy you don't even have, you barely have time to go pee, right? Or like
Yeah.
feel yourself or whatever. But then when there's times when then all of a sudden it's really slow, or you go through a period where you are still really busy, but you just don't you just like I don't say book everything that I and I've never booked everything that I read on. I don't mean it that way,
No, no, of
but
course. Yeah.
there'll be times when like that where I'm like, wow, like I mean, some actors like count the number of like
Hey,
auditions to gigs. You got a cat.
hey,
Cat's like,
not
hey
on,
man,
not on
come over
podcast.
here. Uh,
Sorry.
but I would say to myself like that, just remember. just try to stoke your dream again all the time,
Yep.
right? Because there'll be times when maybe, it might be disappointing because you won't get something that you really, really wanted, I definitely have had that, many times. And, be wise with yourself, with your counsel, because you're not a failure if you don't book a bunch of stuff for a long time, right?
Yes.
Because I think we're all really, really hard on ourselves. I know I have been, because sometimes I think like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, what, why didn't I get that part, right? And, because I got that part, and sometimes it's just like some of those parts, though that is which is what is it? It's that is what is for you won't go by you, right? That is what is not for you will go by you, and that's just the way it is, right?
I surprisingly I resonate with that a lot because trying to find people to interview is kind of difficult at times. So I'm
Mm,
very grateful that you're here as well, like very much so. But it's like there was like a couple months where I just heard from only one person
right,
that wasn't you,
right.
and it's just like yeah, you have to motivate yourself, and I very much agree with that.
Yeah,
I love that sentiment.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very true. Well, it's like that too. It's also believing in. So, like, that's a great example. It's believing in your reason, because you obviously had a light bulb moment where you went like, you know what, I'm going to do a podcast, right? And so then it's like you can talk to yourself, going, okay, this was my idea, so okay. Get the courage to reach out more, or if you haven't heard back from certain people, reach out to them again, right? And like I said, it's because definitely, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, because that can be daunting too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
very much so.
oh man, I would hate it. I hate asking for things from people. Like I'm just like, oh man. So that's why I say, like, I feel awesome to say yes to say sharing my story, right? But I wouldn't want to be in your position. I would I would hate to contact me. So, you know what I mean?
I
Like
mean, I still remember getting the emails like, "Oh yeah, you'll happily do the interview," and I'm like, "Oh, like oh
yeah,
no."
what? No, he's gonna send you what? He said yes. Well, I gotta be honest with you. Anybody who says they're friends with the Reboy family,
Yeah, yeah.
that's like good. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They're good humans.
No, no,
And
no, thank you, thank you, and it's been a pleasure speaking to them as well. So
yeah.
thank you to
Mm.
Colin and Judy for getting this.
Call it joy,
Woo.
human beings. No doubt. All right, Tarkan. Next question. What do you got,
Okay,
man?
oof. Um, in your career, you have many roles people love to see you perform. I know Ed is like one of the biggest roles people love. I love that too. Don't get me wrong. I grew up with it. Um, but what is your favorite voice act voice acting role you've done? Do you ever just blurt out lines from a show you've worked on, just like when you're making coffee or something?
Oh yeah, well, it's funny, and I'm not gonna lie that Ed has lived in my heart since we started doing it, and it's so. I often find I'm just saying, like, like if I'm making coffee, as you say, in the morning, I'll be like, kick my feet, drink my coffee. Hello, hello, late. Hello. Like I've definitely come by Ed very honestly.
Yeah.
um, and so that I love doing. And then I really loved also playing Peter Pan
Yes.
in an animated. It was like an anime version of it, I guess. Because for
Yes.
me, that was like a classic children's. Um, I really loved playing that. That was fun. And then a movie that I did called A Monkey's Tale, which was one of the last classic animations that was ever done. And the people that I got to work with over in England were, oh my God, that for me was just like, I'm like, had to pinch myself going like, how did Matty Hill end up, in this studio in London recording with these guys and gals on this show, and then, at the premiere, then having Brian May from Queen, the guitarist for Queen,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah. Of course.
like
Yeah.
literally tapped me on the shoulder, and and like this tall dude, like I'd look around and then I look up like 100 feet, and he was there with his daughters, and I think his two daughters, or two daughters, or a daughter and a son, but they were at the premiere as well, and so like the guitarist from Queen says to me, "Hey man, my kids really laughed. You did a really great job, man. Like essentially like good on you, right? And
Yeah.
I literally was just like, but oh, and the only thing I could say was thanks, man. And then some mumbling dumb stupid thing that I'm like, I really love your guys' music,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry that Freddie passed, and
Mm,
you know what I
mm.
mean. And but he was so kind, right? And so for me, that I was like, I'll never forget that because he didn't have to come and talk to me, right? He was there with everyone else. He's there with his kids, and
Yeah, yeah.
like so. But for whatever reason, he's like, and I believe it's just because he's a really good human being, right? And doesn't really give a flying what about what's it like about say stardom or whatever. I'm sure if I mean I'm sure I don't know. Yeah, I think I got the point across.
No, no, you did. You did. I think like you should give yourself a bit more credit, like because look how far you've come, and it's like you're Mr. Worldwide at this point.
Well, that's what's wild. Sometimes I'm like, I'll be walking, be walking in an airport or something somewhere, and I'm like, and I'm say, heading to like last weekend when I was heading to the animation convention in Iowa,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and I was like, wow, like I'm heading there because of these voices. Nobody has a flying, what,
Yeah.
that I'm the guy that's doing these voices. And that's where sometimes I feel like I could possibly be the most famous guy in the room in some respects. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I say that
yeah, no.
loosely, but to then that I find wild sometimes. But the only way to be able to share that is sometimes when the opportunity comes up or something, and and someone's like, "Oh, well, what do you do for a living?" And it's like, "Oh, well, I do voices, or I do, film and TV, and you might have recognized this voice or whatever." And that I've enjoyed a lot more because I've sometimes thought, Matt Hill, you're such a dork. Don't be afraid to share with people what you do because it really does make their day, right? Sometimes.
Does,
And
yeah.
I just don't start the conversation with that. Say, hey, this is Matt. I don't go, yeah, hi, Ed. Nice to meet you, right? I'm more, but I've gotten a lot better at sort of segueing it if people are asking about, okay, what do you do kind of thing. I often go like, hey, your kids, did they watch the Ninja Turtles or did they watch, Ed, Ed and Eddie? And, and if they say no, I'm like, oh, okay. But if they say yes, I'm
Okay.
like, then I'll just bust into an Ed line, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the what, it's like the gobsmack of like, oh my God, you are Ed. And then I'm like, hello, Sparkly. It's fun. I
That's
like
fair.
doing that, going through security lineups and stuff like that too. Because sometimes they're
Yeah,
so,
that'd be
they're
great.
so by the book. It's so business and stuff, and I'm having fun sometimes going like, hey, hello, and I don't know. I like with what was it? One of the uh, one of the people at the airport actually 2 trips ago, and it was awesome because he turned into like a 10-year-old again because he was like, "What? Are you kidding me? You played Raphael and you play Ed, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, cowbunga, dude." And and yep, I sure do. You bet your sweet puppy. And and it was you could tell he was just lit up because he's like, "Oh my god!" He's like yelling across to the other guys, like, in the counters or whatever, like, "Hey, dude, get my guy who's going through here, Ed." Please Raphael, please Ed, and I was like, "Hi guys," They're like, "What?" Like Ed and Eddie. I was like, "You bet your sweet puppy," and that those lines are so in their
Yeah.
hearts, and so that's when I walk on the other side of customs. Now I'm just like, "You did your job, Matt Hill. Nice job," you know. It's fun.
Yeah, you seem you from like previous interviews, uh you've stated how much you like enjoy seeing people smile.
Oh yeah.
Like with Run for One Planet, you going
Oh,
around for the environment, but you also like going to different schools
oh.
to like promote what you've done, plus like environment stuff and all like, and it just you seem to always you'll never lose that smile. That's how I see it. You'll never like lose that positive attitude that you have.
Well,
Just
it's
still
it's
going.
it's one it's thanks for bringing that up by the way too because it's for me I really struggled actually being okay with sharing that I was the voice of Ed and Raph and Tenderheart in that moment But my partner Steph, she was just like, "Are you kidding me? You have to share that because it's so authentic." You know what I mean? But I felt like originally I thought, "Oh man, they're gonna think I'm a complete dork." Like going in, going like, "Hey, yeah, I'm Matt, and this is Steph." And so we tried it for a few shows where she's like, "Okay, well, you know what? If you don't feel comfortable with it, I gotta respect that." So,
Hmm.
but honestly, within about a half hour of one of these presentations, the kids, we were sucking. We were so boring. Apart from saying, "Hey kids, we just ran here from like Vancouver," and it was like I think we were 1,000 Ks in, or
Yeah.
maybe two, maybe I don't know, 2,500 K in, or whatever we were. But the kids were like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" And then you could see that they were just like, we're so bored.
Yeah.
And thank God, Steph gave me the look, and I knew it was like, so I remember I was like, "Hey, yo, 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 so and so middle school, you guys want to save the planet with Raphael, and hey, my buddy Ed wants to, help as well, and Sparkly Stephanie." And you saw these kids that were about to like lynch us because we were so boring. It literally turned into like they were just like beside
Yeah.
themselves, right? And so it gives me goosebumps now because we knew that was the authentic connector, right? Our message was pure, but the delivery system had to be that pure as well, right? Because then the kids and the teachers and the parents and the gatekeepers of getting into the schools, right? It was like an open field then of and so often I took it the other way where I thought we needed to earn our way in. We already did because we ran there, but we had this extra sort of little caveat to be able to share the message with them, right? And so like even like school principals and administrators who answer the phones, right? My God, those calls were so hard at the beginning because same thing. I didn't want to tell them, "Hey, you might recognize this show, blah 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 blah," but I sure did that after we had that experience with
Yeah.
them
Of
in
course.
on that one because that was almost our lead off sentence because we had about 30 seconds before they'd hang up, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
um oh, and it was unreal. And I got to the point where I tried to whittle it down where I could, because you could feel if someone's going like, "Huh? What?" Right? And then I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, do you have kids or do you have grandkids at home or do you, and if they said yes, I'd be like, "Do they watch the Ninja Turtles?" And most of the time they said yes, or do they watch Ed, Ed and Eddie? They usually say yes. I'd be like, "I'm the guy on the phone, but I played Ed," and and then I felt like I
Yeah.
had another minute to be able to say what Run for One Planet was, what we were doing, why we wanted to come into their school, right, and spend time with their kids, right. So
Yeah.
it was oh yeah, it was
That's
fun.
fantastic. That's awesome. The amount of good experiences you would have had doing that is
Oh,
just like,
oh,
oof.
oh, you know what? You nailed it, brother. It's I often walked out of there. My mind was blown in the incredible zone um of knowing that we really did a good job, and also too these voices really really helped because what, I don't know, I'm a firm believer people just want to feel good about themselves, they want to feel good about the choices that they're making, and I think one of our biggest successes on Run for One Planet was we heard it consistently that we made people feel good about where they were, not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like, no, you're bad because you're not doing this and this and this. We said, you know what, we're going to come in and we're going to give you a dose of positivity and make you feel good about where you're at, and share this message with you and your kids, and if you feel inspired by it afterwards, then just make one of these choices, right? Which at the beginning we thought maybe it was too simple, but oh my God, I thought it was, at the end of the day it was probably one of the most brilliant choices we made, you know
Of
um
course.
it's oh yeah.
Well, you've run about 20 Ks, 20 kilometers during the Run for One Planet, which is 11,000 miles, roughly. Um, you're still going strong, it seems, running.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Thank God I have turtle steps, so I call myself like the slow. So I'm on the slow heart rate program, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's I'm knocking on wood. It's It's been a good formula, and definitely I've definitely in the last 2 years, because I had a bit of a heart issue that was going on that had to get figured out.
Yeah.
Um, so in the last 2 years, I haven't run as much as I was used to running. So oh my God, I miss it so much. But I'm walking tons, and I'm back in the pool, so I'll be, swimming and at the gym and stuff. But I'm just waiting for the next big tests for them to hopefully give me the green light so I can, run like a turtle again, but definitely much less distance and stuff. So
No, of course.
uh, and
And I like, even though I can't really do much, I pray for your recovery.
thank
That
you.
was wrong
Yeah,
wording,
man.
but like,
Yeah,
best
thank
wishes to you.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I feel when I love it when, say, like a cardiologist said my my heart is so efficient because I've trained it that way,
Hmm.
and I really appreciated that he gave me that same confirmation. And so, in my eyes, that's also the reason why I didn't check out a couple of years ago, because it could have happened, but I'm so grateful that I'm still here because
Yeah, of
I
course.
feel like now I just every day is like, okay, let's suck the proverbial marrow out of the day and see what we can do. And but it's definitely changed for me in terms of, I used to just, because I would be like, like, how many Ks can I do today? That still lives so much inside me, in here and in my heart, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, because I just see it, like I see a point out in the land, and I just want to go. Like, I want to go. I don't care how long that'll take me to get there, but as long as I have food and water, and then I'll turn around and I'll come back,
Yeah,
right?
fair enough. Yeah.
That I've had to rethink a little bit because as the doc said, I got to put the governor on it a little bit. So, but that's okay. I just find another way.
No, that's fantastic. And like, I hope your recovery goes well and you're
Thank you.
running
Yeah, yeah.
again.
Well, I'm riding my bike a ton, right? So,
Ah,
that's
that's great cardio.
and like I said, swimming. I hope that what I can do is be able to just do what I do, and then just basically, instead of going out for 8 or 10 hours, I just go out for like 2 hours. So
That's fair enough.
that's that's my goal. That's my goal.
Um, I think one of my next questions would be, do you have any advice for people who want to get into voice acting and how to build that portfolio to either put online or to be hired somewhere? What
Yeah.
would you what would you say?
Well, it's, kind of in a way, there's no better time because, like, even though there's a ton of people doing it, it's still, I've always believed, if that's your dream, you'll find a way. The delivery system's way wide open now, where
Okay.
it used to just be, you had to go in the studio and you could only do voiceover this way. That's been blown right out of the park. I mean, you can make demos on your phone, for God's sakes. You can join a ton of, like, voiceover communities that are online. There's a ton of different ways that you can get started. And I think my personal take on it is, you still got to get educated. So
Yeah,
if
of
you have
course.
no experience, just like take a course, right? Or just get comfortable being on the mic, right? And so and it might not be a physical course that you go and attend, but there's so much stuff online as well. And or just like talk to people, make voices on in your bedroom, and then put them on your phone, and start a YouTube channel, right? That's.
Well, we'll segue with that because it's like, um, obviously, I'll speak from my experience. I struggle with like changing my voice at all.
Mm.
I can only go deeper slightly. That's really like, how would you encourage someone to kind of learn how to voice shift, how to get better at that?
Yeah, you know what? I'd say same thing. Get a good teacher, right?
Okay.
Because oh yeah, oh, absolutely. It's because because it's funny because everybody's voice is so different, right? And so, like, what I could say, like what I do, it might not work for somebody, right? So I think it's I'd say that's probably the best thing is
Okay.
like, find somebody that'll like share what they know, right?
because a lot of people can like do it naturally. Like I'm so impressed with some people. It's just like how
Oh,
do you do
the
that?
way they shift their
And then
voices. Oh my God. Oh yeah, I
and it's
know.
like and then I'm just out there. I
Yeah,
struggle, and it's like
yeah,
how? What
yeah,
do I do? You know,
yeah.
it's
Oh
so
yeah,
I'm impressed. I'm like envious rather than jealous. Like I'm never jealous. I
yeah,
envy
yeah,
people because it's like
yeah.
they have a talent
Oh,
I'd love to get. You know.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean, man. I mean, I still like like a young kid comes in the studio, but he's doing a voice like He-Man that's like so deep and
Oh
so
wow. Yeah.
rough. I just like I'm like, what? Let me borrow that for just a day. I've never been able to do that, even with coaching. I'm like a little bit better, but not really, you
Mm.
know. Like the bona fide deep, 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 like villain voice. I've always wanted to do that.
Oh, that's
It
my
just makes
dream
me
voice
pop.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no.
Right? Because villains are just misunderstood too. They just want to be loved.
True. True. Speaking of villains, we'll use that as a segue because uh I my previous video I did was with Kevin Mauer,
Oh, okay.
which you worked with for Dragon Booster, which I'd love to get into some questions with. But one of the voice actors for Word Pain, um he started as of what was it, scratch voice acting where you just get a random
Oh,
person in the studio.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was a scratch voice actor, and he got that job because they loved it so much.
Oh, you mean like Trevor?
Uh, yes, I think that's his name. I've just
Yeah,
forgotten.
wasn't that Trevor?
Um,
Trevor, you're talking about Mordred Payne, right?
no, not a word. The father.
Oh, okay. No, Mordred Payne was Trevor, a young guy who's just got
Oh,
a
okay.
fucking insanely amazing voice.
No, no,
But the guy who played his dad. Oh,
that was
okay.
a scratch voice actor. Yeah,
I think that was Gary Chalk that played the dad in that, wasn't it?
that
I think.
was
I think it was Gary, wasn't it?
Mark Oliver.
Oh my God, it was Mark. Mark, what a cool voice, man. He is such a cool dude. And that guy is cryogenically frozen. I swear to God. He's probably in his 60s, and I swear to God, he's still it's like 30, man. The guy's like
Oh, he'd love to hear that.
oh, he's such a cool dude, yeah. And he's the closest guy that I'll know who like somebody who reminds me of Sting.
Yeah.
He's got that like badass English accent, and all the ladies are always fawning over him, like, and he's like, oh, it's just the voice. It's great. I was at a
Well,
party with him about 6 months ago, and so
ah, nice.
so I was, yeah, got to have some good mark time. It's excellent. It's
Well, I'd
excellent.
like to ask your experiences on Dragon Booster because I don't hear you talk about it much. You usually talk about Ed a lot. I mean, that's what you're famous for, don't get me wrong. And there's like a few other roles that I would love to hear you talk about, but I mean,
Yeah,
my thing's Dragon Booster at the moment, so someone else can have their shot with something else.
sure. Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Um, Kind of like what was your experience with just getting the audition for that? And because I know that I have the DVD up in my like shelf over there, and it's
Mm,
got like an audition tape that you did for Arthur. The like what happened? What happened? You must have got the call, auditioned, and then they're like, oh, we like you. Is that what
yeah,
happened?
yeah. I mean, definitely for that one, it was definitely more. If I remember, God, that was like usually we would have got the first audition, and then we get the script, like the sides or whatever that is the character description, and then
Yes.
the scene that they want us to audition for, um, and uh, and so I remember reading for that, and then pretty soon afterwards, I got a call back. And then I found out I think I had two callbacks for that one. So that was almost like a three try, into the gig moment. And then we were into that first season and stuff. And so and it was really fun because Ace, oh man, I miss working with Ace. He was just such a cool guy to,
Yeah.
do a show for, right? Because he's such a freaking cool individual. And so that was what I was most jazzed about, is because I'm like, all right, I get to work with Ace again. Okay, great, awesome, sweet. you know, because then we ended up doing Stormhawks together,
Yes. Yes.
which was, oh my god, another crazy fun role. But yeah, I mean, doing Artha for me, it was more. It felt like if they had wanted it to be more classical, that would
Yes.
be for me, that's what that show was kind of like, right? Because the language was very, very articulate in that respect, right? And I call it more, it's kind of like gothic, right, or whatever it was.
Fair enough.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and but then being able to play my character, same thing. He's like the young guy who, as always, just wants to do the right thing and try and save the day, but usually fucks up somewhere along, act number two. Then in
Yeah.
act number
Yeah.
three, they gotta fix it, and then oh my god, everything worked out. Except for the 2 episode one
Uh,
where it's, stay tuned till next week.
yeah. Yeah. I.
You know?
That's odd. I find it oddly specific you brought that up because I brought that up in context in a very small like part. Like, oh, you followed the hero's journey, except for that two-parter. Like, there's
Exactly.
no way we're
Yeah,
thinking the same
that's
thing.
right.
Oh, that's
Yep. And then the
crazy.
Raiders are like, we meant to do that. Stay tuned. Oh, I know. I used to hate that. I was like, fuck, I gotta wait till next week to find out what happened. Damn. But it's so awesome that you get to do that, right?
Yeah,
Now,
no, of course.
now you just buy it on, binge it in like 10 seconds.
Oh, I mean,
You know?
yeah, I've done that a lot. Yeah. Because one of the my original segment was to ask people like with their experiences and like why shows got cancelled, and that was like how I started my podcast. What was your kind of like what were you told going into season 4 for the show? Were you told that there would be a season 4 and then it got
Mm,
cancelled? Like
uh,
what
for
whatever you're allowed to tell me. It's like you don't have
for Dragon Booster,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
God, that's interesting because it's I
Because there was this, it's from promotional material like back in the day on like TV. It was like there was an expected season 4, like how it was
oh,
like
okay.
sort of promoted. Like that's how I remember it.
Oh,
I'm probably wrong.
and then season four was never released, you
Yeah,
mean?
no, it wasn't. Yeah, so
Well, yeah. Oh, actually, you're right.
yeah,
Well, it's because for us as actors, a lot of the time we just like be like, okay, great, we got another season, right? So it'll be like
yeah,
either 13 episodes or 26 episodes or 52 episodes. That was how our brains go because then it's like, oh, okay, I got a gig for a year or I got a
yeah,
gig
yeah.
for 2 weeks or whatever. And I think we got picked up for, I believe it was, what was it, 22 episodes for the fourth season or maybe 13?
I think they were doing 13,
13?
12 to 13 each episode season.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not.
So we got 13. But then obviously something must have happened with the either with the toy
Yeah,
sales or with sort of maybe distribution or so. Yeah, you know what? And that part I'm never privy to at all.
yeah,
I just unfortunately sometimes find out that, my agent phones and says, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, we're not picked up anymore.
mm,
Or they can't, like, I mean, I think Dino Trucks same thing. Like we were supposed to do like 84 episodes and I think they canceled us at like 80, right? And so but sometimes I don't know, they just decide to pull the plug because maybe someone looks at numbers and stuff like that, and maybe
yeah,
the
no.
numbers are as big. Yeah, I don't know.
Because
That's
surprisingly, I do have the answer. I can't tell you on
oh
here. The
well,
spoilers for my next
please
Dragon
tell
Booster
us,
episode.
please enlighten me.
I will speak to Kevin about that answer and then in my next podcast. So look forward
Oh,
to
okay,
that. I'll
sweet.
tell you offline. I think I'm allowed to. I'm not too sure. We'll have to confirm.
I won't tell
Um, but yeah, yeah, he will go into a bit more detail in the next podcast I do about like
Cool.
what the because there's more than just toy sales, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
yeah,
gonna say, really.
yeah.
I'm just gonna state what's already out there, really. I mean, that sucks because there was an expected season 4 and 5 from what he said. So I remember rewatching Dragon Booster and I was just like, wait, do I know that voice? And then I looked it up and I'm like, there's no way that's you. There's no way that's Matt. Because like I knew you from Ed in
uh, yeah.
like Ninja
Oh yeah,
Turtles. And then I
yeah.
was just like, wait, there's no way that's him. And
Yeah, well, thanks, man.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was in that
yeah,
phase when you hear another voice actor in another show. It's like, oh my god,
yeah.
there's no
You're like,
way.
what? How does that work? I actually had a young kid at that convention we were at last weekend. But it was great because he was like, it was maybe like, I don't know, 12, let's say.
Yeah.
And like he looked at one of the pictures I had, and it was for I think for Ironhide. And then there was one, and then he went all the way over to Ed, and then he went to My Little Pony, and
Yeah.
then and all of a sudden he's just like, you you do all those? Man, I was like, yeah, yeah, I
Very
do.
nice.
I did. Then all of a sudden he's like, wow, you do a lot of roles. That's like that's like so different because I guess he knew all three shows, right? And I was like, thanks, kid, appreciate that. So but that's the thing. Being voice actors, thank God we get to use our voice that way because yeah, I mean I'm just so grateful I could just keep getting hired.
No,
So
of course, of course.
thank you.
Um, I'm just lost for words. It's fascinating what you've been through. Your career is amazing. And you're still going strong. And I know from what you've said in the past, you don't plan on quitting anytime soon.
Nope,
Plan
if
on
they keep
keep going.
hiring me, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's yeah. I mean, God, I don't know. I think it'd be a freaking idiot to quit the best job in the world. It's the big thing is like I was saying, it's when you go through like the big pause when it then lasts longer than say like a summer or a season or that which is what I just ended up going through. That's where it was the first time in 40 years that I was like, whoa, maybe it is over. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And so I kind of made peace with it. I still read for stuff, but I still didn't score anything. Right. And so I was still going on that faith of being a 13-year-old going like, nope, this is what I'm doing. Just mix it up. It's all good. I mean, obviously my agent got lots of good feedback and stuff, but if everybody like that she connected with said, he kind of is sucking, then that would have been a different story, right? But across the board, they're like, no, we love what he does. Just like tell him to just keep do what he does, and just for whatever reason, he's just not getting, he's just not getting those ones right now. But it's okay, right? So that made me even feel better because I was thinking like, man, am I just like shitting the bed across the board and then not realizing it?
Yeah.
And but so that made me feel a lot better too. So and then now being able to just go to conventions too as oh my god, as a way to then like this almost have like a live podcast for like a whole weekend,
Yeah.
right? Meet people and like they buy me lunch and stuff, you know what I mean? It's awesome.
Well, I'm
uh,
waiting for you to come down to Oz.
yeah,
Where,
well, my
when are you
agents
coming down?
my agent's working with some people in the great country of Oz or the great continent of Oz. So that is still in the negotiation stages.
Come
Um,
down to Melbourne, please.
yeah, like whichever one it is, I'll keep you posted, 100%.
Please.
So
Because it's like so many
um,
people come down, like so many Americans, Canadians, voice actors come down, but it's either Sydney or Queensland, and I'm in Melbourne. It's like, come on, come down
uh,
to Melbourne.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's I don't even know the name of the convention. So because if I did, I would tell you, and
yeah,
then
yeah, no,
you
I would
sit
love to
there
know.
phoning them going, come on, make it happen, make it happen. So hopefully, yeah, because I've always wanted to go back to the UK for because that's my family's lineage, and
Yeah.
I haven't been back since I did A Monkey's Tale. But then now I've always wanted to go to Oz as well, to like have that sort of loop around the world per se.
Yeah, no,
So
fair. That's fair.
yeah, well, so thanks for your energy around that, man.
All good. No, it's all good because it's like there's not really many people that I'd like to go see, and it's like you're one of them who I would like to.
Oh, thank
And
you,
it's just
brother.
like
Yeah.
I can't afford going overseas right now.
Yeah.
What is one question you'd like to be asked more on podcasts or interviews? What's like what's something that it's not really asked much, but you'd like to be asked more? For maybe someone researches this or maybe we do a part two at some point and you want to
That's
be
a good
asked.
question.
What's like some,
It's funny. I always it's not one specific thing that I've never because I get asked a lot, which I think is really I feel really grateful. Where sometimes I realize if somebody really hasn't in my personal opinion, and it's just my own, so that's okay.
yeah.
Sometimes when if a podcaster clearly hasn't looked at my IMDb page or clearly hasn't looked at my website, so they might just know, hey, I was the voice of Ed, or or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then like their leadoff question is, so tell our tell our listeners, who are you and how did you get started and what are a bunch of your roles that you're famous for or
Mm.
whatever. That sometimes I'm just like, didn't do your research,
I
did you?
mean, I mean, it could be other perspective. It was like maybe it's like they're getting you to do it to break the ice a bit. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, no, that's very true.
that could be it. But like, I don't
Yeah,
know, because I know
yeah, that's
I
true.
didn't introduce when we started, but like I plan on doing an like introduction at some point. Because
Well, no, but yours is different because you already set it up that this is your style. This is how you like to do it,
yeah,
right?
that's
So sometimes I'm like, and you know what, and fair enough, and that's why sometimes I mean, I'm not going to get bent out of shape. I've already signed up to say yes, so most of the time, then it's actually me trying to remember. So I sometimes feel on the spot when like that they go, so tell us who you are and tell us all the roles you've done or whatever, and I'm just
nice.
like, because like my brain doesn't remember a lot of those, like half them, like, and it doesn't mean I haven't loved all of them, but a lot of the roles I fucking forget. So
Yeah, no, it
and
makes
just one
sense.
person to say, oh, this role, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yes, yeah, that that guy or whatever, and but so maybe it's more so it puts me on the spot a little bit, right? So
No, no, of course.
and also too, I really appreciate it too when someone's you can tell because we're sharing time as well, and I really appreciate when somebody's really taken an effort into if they want to interview somebody, right? Because I'm going to share what you ask, 100%. But I find sometimes that's where they might even miss the gold that we could have from some of the stories because they're wanting it. It's more of just like so. It's an hour of let's just share your resume and
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
us all
no.
the rules, whatever. And I mean, it's fine, but it's not as fun as this, right? So it's
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you. I think just on an offhanded comment, very slightly. You mentioned you was you enjoyed your time with Ace with Dragon Booster. I'm trying to get an interview with him.
oh,
He's
it-
I don't know where he is. I can't find him. It's like
yeah, I
he's
feel
very
like
difficult to find. So because I would
I
love
can
to,
imagine. Well,
because
he
I
sold. I know, like because they sold. Obviously, they sold Nerdcore.
yes, yeah, I
But
know, I know.
from what I heard, and this might be just urban legend, but I heard that he bought a private island somewhere in BC, and him and his beautiful wife and their two kids, or maybe they have more kids now, but at the time they had two kids. They're on the island, and but I don't know what island it is. I know because I've often gone like, "Where's Ace?" And the guy would seriously. I feel like he'd be the type of guy that if I found out what island it was, I'd charter a boat there.
Yeah,
I'd paddle my paddleboard over there. I'd
I'm
swim
trying to
there.
find him online. He's just very it's like there's like
Oh,
nothing.
yeah, probably. Yeah, it doesn't
And
surprise me. Though. He's
yeah,
a pretty private guy.
because I'd like yeah, and that's fine. I would just love to like talk
Well,
about
you're
like
gonna interview.
Stormhawks, for example.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't know who else to talk to about it, you know.
yeah, yeah. Well, if you want to
If
talk to anyone, are you interested in talking to like? Do you want to talk to any of the rest of the cast from Stormhawks? Like,
uh
do you want to talk to like,
possibly,
Sam?
I'd be more than I welcome that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say
Okay.
no. I
No, no, no. Well,
welcome
let
that.
me know. Yeah, 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 let me know because I mean, Lee Tokar,
Yes, she's
who
worked on
yeah,
Dragon Beast. Yeah.
he's the type of guy I'd, like say, hey, Tarkan's a good guy, and he'd be like, okay, that's all I need to hear. So I know Lee would say yes to an
I would
interview.
love that. Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Yeah,
I would
yeah,
very much love that.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Send me your wish list and see what I can do.
all right, we'll do. So
I can't promise, but you know what I
no,
mean. I'll
that's
do
fine.
it.
Look, hey,
Yeah,
I'm happy if
yeah,
you just put in a good word for me. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on like since we're almost there at like the hour mark, and I don't want to take too much more of your time. Is there anything you're currently working on, or like it doesn't matter, voice acting or a project that you would like to share to the world that you haven't yet, or it's up to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm doing well, I'm in the final proverbial chapter of a 4-year journey of writing my life story up to the halfway point.
Very
And
nice. Yes.
So it's essentially, yeah, the book title is basically, well, it's funny. It's a working title. It's either Lessons My Feet Taught Me Being a Voice for Change, um, or it's the other working title is I Run Like a Turtle. So either or
Yeah.
will be my sort of, my biography up to the halfway point, because and I obviously say halfway point because I've always, for some reason, I've wanted to live to be 104. So when I was 50, I was like, well, I better get it started. So I just didn't think it would take me 4 years to get to the last chapter. But so I'm in the proverbial last chapter of that. So my goal is to have that released into the world by this time next year.
Oh, very nice. Yep.
And then I'll start on the screenplay of basically the screenplay of that book, which is the story of my life. And it's yeah, and I'm trying to figure out right now if that might end up being more like a documentary that I can almost shoot as I go. And so like this, like having, say, like a podcast interview, have that to be part of, say, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, like almost like a day in the life of what I do. I've thought I'm sort of tossing those ideas back and forth. And then like that, going to, say, like the conventions, same thing, having the camera follow me around,
Yeah.
or
Cool.
me just have the camera. I probably not, because I'm so shitty with technology. So and also too, I think I would feel it like I know there's some people who go out there and they film a lot of stuff, but they film a lot of them stuff of themselves.
Yes.
I just don't know what I just like clam right up, right? But if someone's filming me, but I don't really know that they're doing it or whatever, I feel much more open. So yeah, that's what I'm quite excited, to be sort of at least in the late stages of the book, but then and then the very very early stages of whatever the documentary slash screenplay is going to be about. So,
Very
but
nice. I
it'll,
look forward to
it'll
that. Yes. Look
yeah,
forward to
thanks,
that.
man. Yeah. So,
What webs are you uploading that on, like a specific website, or so I can like put that in the description so we make sure we're like go.
the book, you mean?
Yeah. Yes.
The book,
And your documentary if you're doing that too.
yeah. Well, I'm just probably the documentary probably would end up being on YouTube. I bet. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yep.
probably like the best platform, I think. Unless obviously a production company goes like, "Oh my God, you're Matt Hill. We're here. Let's produce it for you." That's probably not going to happen, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So, but so I'm just kind of being open in this moment, and but my book will definitely be like probably Amazon or
Okay.
whatever,
Well, if
or
you
somewhere between.
whenever you're ready to upload that and you have like a
Yeah,
link, send that through to me. I'm happy to promote that everywhere I can.
thank
I
you, thank
I
you.
know I'm not big, but like I'm still happy to like help out in any way I
Oh,
can.
thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
I think the last thing I could ask for is like, can you give me a Release the Dragon in
Oh
Arthur?
yes. Okay, you ready for this? All right.
Oof.
Release the dragon. Release the dragon.
Oh, well, Release the Dragon.
Woohoo! Is that okay? Did I pass? It'd be hilarious. You go,
I'm happy with
that sucked. That sucked.
it. A little bit, a little bit.
You suck.
No, I appreciate anything. Like it's totally fine.
Oh,
No, thank you so much for joining me. I hope
thank
to like
you.
do this again with you eventually.
Let's
Maybe
see.
in like I don't know how long, or maybe who knows if we do this
You
again.
know,
But I would
dude.
very much love
When
to.
when I've got the book in the sort of final hopper of it going out to the world, I'll reach out to you and let you know, because then
Done,
then
done.
maybe we even have a quick chat then.
Happy to do that with you.
Send me a list of the people that you want to interview, and if I know them and can reach out to them, I will on your
All right,
behalf. 100%.
we'll do. Thank you so much again. It's been an
Oh,
absolute
thank
pleasure.
you.
Um,
You're a
Thank
good
you.
man.
Have a good rest of your weekend. My
Thank
weekend's just
you.
starting. Yours is just about to start. So
Absolutely.
peace out,
Hey,
everyone. Thank you very much for
peace out,
joining.
brother.
Matt Hill,
Man.
everyone. Woo.
I really hope you enjoyed that podcast, and big thank you once again to Matt Hill. I do have to give a big shout out to Judy and Colin from Studio Kaiju on YouTube. They have their own small TV production company, for referring me over to Matt Hill. I really appreciate that, and I think I wouldn't have had this interview without the referral, so I do have to credit you as well. I've linked Matt's website down below in the description, and if you want to see more about him, his voice acting, his career, his marathons, things that he does, that'll be all there on his website. When he releases his book next year, I will also update the description to make sure it's that, and I will promote that on my socials as well. Matt Hill, I hope to work again with you in the future. Thank you so much for joining me. Hashtag. Oops. Damn, I can't do this properly. Run for one planet. Just a quick thing from me. Thank you for your patience to all my viewers and to all the people that have subscribed in the last few months. I've gotten very busy in the background, looking for more people to interview. Also, I've got a lot of stuff in my life in the background, so it's been a bit difficult. I've only just managed to get time for myself just to do this now. So I really need to thank my editor, my socials artist. Thank you very much to him. I'll put his socials below if you want to go check his art out. It's fantastic. He did my overlay for the video as well. I really enjoy his art style. He's also done my YouTube avatar. My next video that I'm working on at the moment is with a previous interview I've just done with the legendary writer-producer Stephen Gallagher from the UK. The interview is about a 2009 pirate-themed adventure show. I'm not going to say what it is here. I've already spoiled it on Twitter. But if you'd like to go find out what that show is, go follow my socials down below. But if you're happy to wait and see for the video to find out what that show is, more than welcome to subscribe, and I really appreciate all the subscribes that have come through over the last few months. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Not forever.